Why Spanish Fork, Utah is the next up-and-coming city, and you might want to explore it when shopping in Utah. Spanish Fork, Utah is in Utah County in the great state of Utah, and it is on the southern end. We're going to talk more in depth of why it is the place you want to explore. If you're new here, I'm Becca Summers with Seasons Real Estate, and on this channel we talk about everything real estate and Utah to help you better understand if Utah is the right fit for you. So Spanish Fork is one of the bigger growing cities in terms of development going on in Utah, and it's kind of turning into its own little hub of where the other small towns are coming to get their amenities and features. And it is beautiful. It has fantastic mountain views from almost any subdivision in Spanish Fork and great access to the rest of the world. But the perk of it is you get the bigger town feeling, but you still get the small town atmosphere. They still have a local parade that they do every year. They host a rodeo that is one of the best rodeos in the state during July, and it still has that hometown feel, but everything you need in terms of shopping and restaurants. One of the best factors about Spanish Fork is it is still affordable to live in Spanish Fork. Spanish Fork was established. It's one of the older developments. You have the opportunity to have an older historic home, but as it's continuing to develop, you are getting more and more homes, and Spanish Fork is development friendly, so there's a lot of newer construction and it's still all fairly affordable. So when you're looking at Utah County as a whole, if you are on a little bit tight over budget, moving to Spanish Fork gives you great home options, newer home options, but still keeps you close to everything that Utah County has to offer. So growing up, I lived in Payson and I used to work in Spanish Fork. And when I worked in Spanish Fork, I worked at the Macy's, which was the grocery store, and there was like 2 grocery stores and a couple restaurants, and it wasn't a ton of things going on. But Spanish Fork has realized that they really are prime location in terms of development and demand, and since then they have really exploded. They now have a Costco and a Target, and you know when a Target comes to town what that does for a whole city. And they have a lot of shopping. They have their own Walmart. They have a lot of chain stores. So people from the surrounding cities are coming to Spanish Fork to use their facilities and what they have. So there's a lot of demand, which is great for investors, also great for homeowners, that you can have a nice affordable home and offset your taxes, because the city's doing a great job at developing, and they're doing a really good job of developing in high traffic areas instead of sprawling out. They're really concentrating it, which is helping with traffic flow and growth, but has really everything you need when it comes to living and playing in Spanish Fork. When it comes to counties, you have kind of the hub city that has everything you need. It has the Home Depot or the Lowe's, and that is exactly what Spanish Fork is doing. Spanish Fork is turning into the hub of South County. When I was growing up in Payson, if you wanted to get to a Home Depot, you had to go to Provo to get to a Home Depot, and now there's a Lowe's in Spanish Fork. So Spanish Fork is really turning into where people are going to be traveling to, and one massive benefit Spanish Fork has, which they've always had, which is probably helping with it becoming the hub. It is right off of I-15 and it's right off of Highway 6, so you have great access to go north and south or east to west. And a great thing about Spanish Fork, because it is so close to the freeway, you're only about an hour away from Salt Lake City International Airport, and you're only about 20 minutes from the Provo Airport, which allows small flights. Some of the friendliest people I've met live in Spanish Fork. There's not really an area of Spanish Fork that's super pretentious or people think they're better than everyone. It's just a good group of people who are hardworking and taking care of their community. Spanish Fork got its very first condo complex about 18 months ago, and now they have 3. So Spanish Fork is more of a home community, meaning they usually have single family homes that are detached with a little bit more acreage. They do have some townhome communities that are starting to be developed, but for the most part, when we're talking Spanish Fork, we're talking about single family homes with a 1/4 acre lot, a garage maybe, maybe not, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, kind of the historic home that everyone is interested in. Spanish Fork, the original part of it, was developed at the same time as Salt Lake City, so it has that grid system of larger blocks and larger streets in the original Spanish Fork area, and then it's developed off to additional subdivisions. In terms of affordability, when I am talking with buyers, Spanish Fork is often the furthest south they're willing to go if they have a job in Lehigh. So it's really good in terms of resale value to hold its value because it still has enough demand of white collar buyers who work in Lehigh but can't quite afford to live in Lehigh. So they're going to live in Spanish Fork and make the commute. And then there's plenty of job opportunities surrounding Spanish Fork for blue collar workers. So there's always a steady workforce, and it's also a diverse workforce. So there's not a lot of risk when it comes to buying your home and not being able to sell it later, because there's always a good, healthy amount of demand in Spanish Fork. I hope you've enjoyed our video about Spanish Fork, Utah, and learned something new, or maybe gained a valued perspective of Spanish Fork, Utah. If you are thinking about buying anywhere in the state of Utah, we would love to meet with you and guide you through the process, help you explore different cities more in depth, and make sure you are liking and following our channel for updates on Utah real estate.